Are you ready, Arizona? Because if you've watched the news lately, you deserve either a medal or a therapist. Welcome to Shaping Arizona, the political podcast where we actually solve problems instead of just yelling at them on Facebook. You have a great host, Ken Miceli, your potential next governor. And let me tell you, this is not your typical show. No boring speeches, no awkward handshakes. And on this show, we're talking about the real Arizona issues, the border, the economy, public safety, education, and why your grocery bill now looks like a payment for a Ferrari. And the best part? Ken has an amazing panel of guests. They're smart, fearless, funny enough that even politics might become watchable again. This is grassroots leadership with grit, humor, and a plan to bring Arizona roaring back. So grab your coffee, grab your popcorn, and maybe hide your wallet from inflation. Because we're not talking about Arizona's future, we're building it. Now, live from the campaign studio, it's Ken Miceli.
Hello, Arizonans. So glad you're here tonight. This is our new podcast called Shaping Arizona. My name is Ken Miceli, and I'm running to be your next governor for this great state in Arizona. And tonight we've got some incredible guests here. We have a panel of Republicans that will be sharing topics and policies about shaping Arizona. And so with that, let's get started. Let's start introducing each other. Gary, say a little something and say hello.
Thank you, Ken. My name's Gary Nicolau, and thank you for the privilege of being here tonight. This is my second time participating with you on your podcast.
Thank you.
And I'm been here 30 years, living in Arizona. Consider myself an almost native now at this point. I won't tell you all where I came from, but look a little west of here and you'll know where.
Okay.
But I left a long time ago to come here. And I've been working in the insurance business for over 40 years now. I specialize in working in the health insurance and life world. Especially the health insurance has been a real interesting world for the last 15 years, ever since legislation passed that we're all living with still today. And but I work with individuals and small businesses and Medicare age people, but a lot of business people. So I have a lot of business background and connections with people there to now know what their issues are, what their problems are, and what they need to help make success of their businesses.
Well, that's great. That's good news. And speaking of business, I am a businessman. I am not a politician. I'm a businessman and a humanitarian, and I want what's good for the people in the state of Arizona. Nick, say hi.
Hello, I'm Nick Andrews. Moved out here in July 4th weekend of 1990. It was 122 degrees that day. It was one of those interesting days where they shut down the airport. It got so hot. I was thinking, boy, what am I doing moving here? But it's been the best decision I've ever made. I've enjoyed it very much, raised my family here. We do real estate. We do renewable fuels, and I have nuclear ambitions. Glad to join you. Look forward to the discussion.
Excellent. Thank you. We're going to get into that in a little bit here, too. So one of the topics tonight is going to be water. Okay, so we'll discuss that. And I've got the man with the plan besides myself. Tell us about your company and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Eric Exum. Excuse me. I've lived out here since 1975. Went to Saguaro High School, graduated in 1986. Went to Northern Arizona University, graduated in 92. Hotel and restaurant management. My family owned the Rock Springs Cafe, which is a historical restaurant here in Arizona. We've owned it from 86, and we did sell it in 2007. But now we have a new venture. We have started up our Bompa Jack's barbecue sauce, which has taken off. We're expanding the brand not only in Arizona through the popularity of the brand through Rock Springs, but it's also migrated into other states now too. So we're growing. We are very proud of Arizona people and really love to get out there and meet the people through the farmers markets and events to sell our product.
Great. Well, it's a great looking product too.
Thank you.
I bet you it tastes just as good.
Oh, it's great. It's award winning.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We were featured in Memphis in May barbecue competition 2 years ago, and we did win on the baby back rib contest on that.
I love hearing that. I mean, who doesn't like a good barbecue, right? I think I have 2 barbecues in my backyard I have a gas and also an electric. And you probably have 4 barbecues.
Oh, I do more cooking on the outdoor kitchen than I do inside. But yeah, you're exactly right there.
That's great. Well, thanks, Eric. Well, let's get into the next topic, or the first topic actually, which is water. Let's talk about water. I have an endless water plan that I would like to talk about, but not today, because I'm going to talk about it in a debate that's coming up for the governorship. And that debate is going to be March 21st in Prescott. But why don't we jump in right now, and anyone have some solutions and talk about water? Let's go. Let's get it going.
Well, I was watching the news just the night before last when they were talking about how the water, the way that it is today and the agreements that we've had in the past are expiring. And what we have to do is get those agreements fixed. Otherwise, the federal government's going to step in. And once they do, then it's our water future is uncertain unless we can be proactive and negotiate a better water deal for the state of Arizona, which we're kind of the last state from the Colorado Rocky watershed. And it's really important for our business, our residents. So I think water is a big topic. I mentioned just briefly about my nuclear ambitions. You need a lot of water to cool nuclear, to power data centers and artificial intelligence. And so we need more water. We need to fight for our water rights, and we need good water policy.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you, Nick. How soon are you going to be implementing your nuclear plan?
Well, in order to do nuclear, just based on the technology today, it requires a significant quantity of water. And I would argue that the state of Arizona doesn't currently have enough water to support nuclear ambitions. The only 2 places in my mind in the state that you could do nuclear is to add nuclear at the Palo Verde Nuclear Power Generating Station. But that in itself is water reclamation from the city of Phoenix and Maricopa County, and there's only so much water there already to support the 3 reactors that are currently operating, which have been operating for 40 years, and a big win for this region. The other area where we could potentially bring in nuclear is up in the Four Corners area, but that's that's a retired coal plant. So you have to be next to a body of water to do nuclear, unless you use these small advanced nuclear reactors with some interesting new cooling technology. So, and some of those still have to be approved by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, which takes time and money.
Okay. All right. Well said. Thank you for that. I'll be looking into your plan as well. It sounds like it's going to be a winner.
Thank you.
So, and water is life. I mean, our farmers need it, right? Our families need it. So we'll be working closely with the farming agents here in Arizona as well. Yeah. All right. How much water are you using in that bottle of barbecue sauce?
Oh, I'm sure we use some water, but listening to this topic, it's a really important topic here in Arizona. From what I understand, there's some deadlines coming up as far as making decisions on restrictions, and to think that the state of Arizona can just continue on using the water like it has been, it's going to be detrimental. I mean, we see Lake Powell, we see all of our reserves continuously go down and down and down. And as important as people realize it is here in Arizona, our neighboring states, that we need their 2 cents on those decisions too, since we get a lot of their water coming in too from the Central Arizona Project. But I think the focus really needs to hit home with that we can't just keep on using the water without knowing that there's no reserves to fill those reserves back up.
That's very true. Yes, and my plan will have the reserves in place. So it will probably cost anywhere from $5 to maybe $10 million. That's our projection right now. But the engineers and scientists are looking into it, and it's a really well written plan. So I'm looking forward to that. And by the way, you guys look really dapper in your hats tonight. Yeah. So, anything else on water?
I could add that coming from a state to the west of ours here, and I, growing up there, saw some of the mismanagement of the water resources that the state of California squandered and did not protect, the lack of proper reservoirs to save the water running off the Sierras during the snowfall melts, letting that water run off into the ocean and not be kept for that. I grew up in the Central Valley, which was a heavy water user because of all the agriculture, which is life for everyone because it's water that feeds everything that's grown in the Central Valley, stretching from Sacramento all the way down past Bakersfield. And, the struggles that the farmers would have every year and still do with water. And so let's not make the same mistakes here and shortchange our state here with our resources and be better stewards of the water and for the today, but also the future, and do a better job than California has. Hopefully they'll wake up one day and do better at what they have because they had the resources there. They just didn't know how to keep them.
That's true. And the water supply is still going back in the ocean, from what I understand. So that's problematic. Okay.
Very true.
A couple more things on water. So from a new home builder's perspective, they have to provide a 100-year water assurance. And that's no longer an easy thing to do. We've seen what's happened with housing permits being delayed or paused because of not being able to prove water availability. Back when Governor Ducey was our governor, I know there was a study done to consider desalinization of water, both in California and the Sea of Cortez, and shipping that water into the Central Arizona project to bring more water into the valley. I know there's water resources stored underground that are owned by private parties that have difficulty selling into a regulatory environment. So there's certain maybe red tape that could be revisited in order to make it easier for folks that actually have water rights to be able to sell into the water system. And that's another reason why I'm pro-nuclear, is because we can use nuclear power to power desalinization to push more water from either California or the Sea of Cortez into our water system, which ultimately we're going to have to come up with a solution, because anybody who is looking at the reservoirs from the Colorado Rockies down, all of these lake systems are at all-time lows, or lower than I've ever seen them anyway. And when you look at Meade and Powell and others, these are the water holding systems that ultimately funnel water down into the Valley of the Sun, and they're all relatively low comparatively to where they should be. So we need proactive policy to support making sure we get our fair share.
And not only the fact that water, of course, for usage is very important, but you mentioned Lake Powell. If Lake Powell loses any more water, that community is going to go away. Mm-hmm. We won't have Lake Powell up there anymore, And wasn't there some talks about funneling or channeling water from the Midwest? I don't know where that all went as far as a program or a project, but since they had so much excess water that we're talking about from the Midwest, they were looking at a way that they could channel that into Arizona.
We have a plan where the reservoirs that you mentioned, we need to expand the reservoirs, no doubt about that. You're looking at huge amounts of water with your nuclear plant. So my system, and I'll share this with you after the 21st, will work. It's an endless supply of water. So I think you and I will have something to talk about. But thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right. If I may, can I segue into another topic? Okay. Let's talk about energy, the cost of living. Right now, the cost of living, I can say this, that a lot of people here in Arizona, we're blessed with sunshine, innovation, hardworking families, and business owners, small business owners, farmers, veterans, entrepreneurs that you know well, and dreamers who came here for an opportunity. That's what the componentry of Arizona is made up of. So But why does people feel like they're not getting ahead? That's my question. And groceries are up, housing costs are up, insurance is up, water concerns are very real, and small businesses are buried in regulations while the large corporations get the red carpet treatment. So, energy. What's your take on that? If you want to jump in anytime.
Well, I'll be more than happy to talk about energy. So, one of the things that we do as a company is turn waste into clean fuel. And there's a company that was underway in Sierra Nevada called Fulcrum Bioenergy. And what they were doing is turning garbage from the landfill, municipal solid waste, and taking that and sorting it in a sorting center called a MRF. And what comes out is an organic material, often referred to as a refuge-derived fuel. And you could put that refuge-derived fuel into a gasification system to create synthesis gas and clean that synthesis gas and put it into a process called Fischer-Tropsch. And then that creates a synthetic fuel that burns cleaner than traditional fuel and would give us another resource to take waste from the landfill and create a cleaner fuel that would cause less greenhouse gas emissions. And so we are one of only a handful of companies globally that have the engineering capability and the licenses to turn waste into clean fuel. We could use forest thinnings as part of normal forest maintenance activities, or we can use fats, oils, and greases, which is more of a first-generation fuel production pathway. But I'm all in on advanced fuels. I think it'll be great for us going forward to our future generations who are, maybe a little bit more into sustainability. The truth is that this is expensive, right? And it takes commitments from our leaders to make financial commitments and make sure that policies are in concert with these cleaner fuel initiatives, which is something that's really important to me and our group of companies.
Well, you certainly have my support. That is just an incredible plan.
Hire him.
Yeah, hire him. You're right. You're hired. Well, I pride myself on being a man with a plan, but that's really professional, and thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Well, it strikes me as something that would be great for sustainability, stability too, because there's always going to be that kind of waste to be able to turn into something usable, right? Which solves a couple of problems because it creates the fuel, but it also gets rid of landfill that would otherwise take up space and you run out of room at some point eventually. And it sounds like it would be much more reliable than the traditional idea of sustainability being solar, wind farms, that kind of stuff. And all of those have their place to a degree, but there's limitations on all of those and weaknesses there too. So something like what you're talking about really sounds appealing to me in thinking about that. And even the nuclear option of having the right size plants, designed right, clean, that work, that run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, don't necessarily go down unless you have to do a little maintenance once in a while. Mm-hmm. But things like that, that's what's going to carry our country and even potentially the world on into the future. That's where you start looking at sci-fi type things of saying, hey, we have a sustainable, renewable energy sources that we won't outuse. And the generations to come will benefit from that, and help hopefully bring costs down or keep down. And, obviously there's still going to be a place for oil, gas, and so forth. That's not going to go away anytime soon. And thankfully, we have an administration that's currently supporting development of that and the needs for that. And all we have to do is look at what's going on over in the Middle East right now and how certain world-type events can interrupt things like that. And we need stuff that can't be interrupted.
One thing a lot of people don't realize is that if you go on to the National Renewable Energy Laboratory's website and take a look at Arizona, you'll find that half the state is covered in red, meaning that we have significant amount of methane in our lower atmosphere. And this comes from dairy farms and methane being released from landfill gas that could otherwise be captured. And so if we implemented policies to capture landfill gas and capture dairy waste manure gas, which is anaerobic digestion, it's been done everywhere in the world, and we're missing a golden opportunity to do more of that right here in Arizona, because we could take that methane, turn it into renewable natural gas, and use that to power vehicles. And I'm familiar with one project that I was involved in down in Eloy, where they had over 5,000 head of dairy cattle. We were able to add an anaerobic digester to that and turn that methane into renewable natural gas and sell that into the Kinder Morgan pipeline and earn credits in California, because they offer a significant amount of revenue for doing that. But the key is we have opportunities that are actionable and technology that's available today. But we need more ambitious businessmen, and we need politicians and political figures who support these clean energy initiatives.
Sure. Well said. How long have you been in that industry? How long have you been doing your planning?
Well, I've been the CEO of USA Bioenergy now for over 8 years, and I just started a new nuclear company very recently. Before USA Bioenergy, we had another company called Arkansas Renewable Fuels, which turns forest thinnings into sustainable aviation fuel. So I've been at this for 9 years. I'm all into clean fuel, clean water, clean air, and clean power. I really want to see things be more sustainable.
Okay. Wow. You have the right mindset. You're right. I am going to hire him.
Well, if anything, start a board.
Yeah. Okay. Well, gentlemen, that's a good discussion. Anything else on energy that we want to cover before we go into our next subject?
Just one common sense point, and that is the cost of energy affects everything.
Yes.
Across the board, because it's the gas that goes in the trucks and the trains and the planes that move everything that ultimately add to the cost of the meat, the bread, the milk. Everything is affected. So the lower our energy costs, the lower our overall costs. And why is that more important now? Is we went through this really big hyperinflationary period where everything went up in cost across the board by 30 to 35%. And the problem is that wages didn't go up the same way that inflation happened. And so people are still struggling. And the one thing we could do to really help the consuming public is get our energy costs down.
Mm-hmm.
So true. And that would probably segue into, if you could get the cost down, delivery of groceries to stores would go down. Delivery for lumber to build homes will go down. And that's another thing, too. I mean, you mentioned jobs, good paying jobs. We're going to talk a little bit about that. To bring people in here to Arizona, we can make them an offer that if they come into this state, in fact, right now we're dealing with a couple of large scale companies. One's a pharmaceutical company that could possibly bring 30 to 40,000 jobs. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. They're going to need a place to eat. They're going to need a place to sleep. They're going to need places to shop. And so that in itself will help with that revenue, will help me cut property taxes 50% the first year. The second year, I'm planning to do away with property taxes. So these are the things, by having people come in, energy, lowering the cost, it's going to help our state tremendously. So, and, you know, we have a beautiful state to live in, incredible sunsets, beautiful in the morning. So I've been here for most of my life, so it's been a long time. I call myself a native because I was so young coming in here, and I truly believe that you said that you were maybe in California for a little while. Mm-hmm. Okay, I feel for you.
It was a great place to grow up.
It was,
but not so great now.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Well, Arizona is a state. We're very fortunate here. So we're going to make it even better. Okay. Especially when I hire both of you guys, and you too.
You got to use the barbecue sauce.
You're vice president of barbecue sauce right now.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing that concerns me on the energy front, tying in with this, is I look at what California is doing with pushing the refineries out that are left there, and they're shutting them down. They're forcing them to shut down. I just read some articles recently about that. So that's going to cause problems with gas to run our vehicles and various things, and supply. Where are we going to get our gas? I know it affects us in Arizona. It's going to affect Nevada pretty hugely too, because they get a lot of their gas too from California. Mm-hmm. And where are we going to refine gas and bring it here? And I've always wondered and thought, why was a refinery never built somewhere in Arizona in the past decades? We kept our dependence on California. Now the way they're going, they're pushing out. They're going to hurt their own state and their own citizens at the same time. Although I think certain political people there don't really care about that.
That's true.
And so it's going to pivot around to our state, other states around us, and so forth. So we have to have some solutions there, because oil and gas isn't going away, and we're going to need fuel to run our cars. Not everybody's going to drive an electric car, and even if you did, you got to have ways to produce the electricity to recharge those cars. So that,
sure.
It's a circle. And some people, they just don't understand those things, and they just, for environmental reasons or whatever reasons, they just want to shut things off instead of making it better and making it work. Let's just shut them down.
Yeah, well, in the case of us buying gasoline from California, that's what the current administration is doing, which to me, you could deal with it with different vendors through maybe the Gulf Coast, somewhere in there, mm-hmm. where we can get down the price of a gallon of gas less than $2. That's going to be one of my goals.
Yeah,
maybe $2.25, but under $2, we should be able to do that. Chevron, I understand, they're a big player. They're leaving California.
Yes, they are.
Would love to have them saddle up with us here in Arizona. So those are one of the many companies that we're going to be looking at.
Good.
But to answer your question, yes, we need to stand alone and create something here from a different source, and I have plans to do that. Okay?
That's good to hear, Ken.
Yeah, thank you. Jobs, growth, and business relocation. As I mentioned, we're looking at pharmaceutical companies coming out here. They're going to need your product, I'm sure, and we want to have enough people. The athletic industry is thinking about coming out here. Hollywood is thinking mm-hmm. about relocating out here. So there's a number of different industries that we're going to benefit from. But does anyone have anything about that relocation and job growth for Arizona?
Well, one of the benefits that we have in Arizona is the fact that we don't have hurricanes, we don't have tornadoes, we don't have a lot of natural events that happen out here. So when you look at people that are employed in the Midwest or Florida or anywhere where you have those natural disasters, companies have to shut down during that time. We don't have to do that here in Arizona. We can stay open. So that's a big attraction for large companies to come out here, telecenters, large companies of all different kinds.
Sure.
So that's a huge benefit for Arizona.
Well, yeah, we're even talking to international logistic companies to come out here. We're talking to automobile manufacturers. Japan wants to come out here and set up shop, which would be amazing. And we've had discussions with them, and they're very interested. So you have pharmaceutical, you have advanced manufacturing of robotics, technology, and good paying engineering jobs that will be generated and created out here. So I think the time is right for us. We just need to have some good leadership, and that's what I plan on doing. So anything else on that, Eric?
Well, we got Buc-ee's coming in town, which is going to be huge, as far as an attraction for tourism. And
Explain it a little bit about that. When is their time frame? Do you know?
Oh, I think they're ready to open here in a few months.
Okay.
It's the largest travel center, I guess you would call it, or it's where the 18-wheel trucks go to get their gas, sleep, but also you can do your shopping there. Anybody that's traveling within Arizona or coming out of Arizona will want to hit that Buc-ee's.
Okay. Well, we want to get some high-paying jobs out here.
Yeah.
How do they pay well? Should I interview for a job now?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they have some wages that they can increase.
Okay.
Where is that going in?
It's on the west side of town. I believe it's off of the I-10 freeway.
Buckeye.
Buckeye?
In Buckeye.
Historically, when you look way back, Arizona was primarily known for tourism and real estate. And over, I'd say, the last 25, 30 years, we've been in the top fastest growing counties, Maricopa County and Phoenix metropolitan statistical area. And the beauty is the diversification that has happened over that period of time. All these new big companies that have come in here and set up shop, it's almost making us more resilient when it comes to an economic downturn because of all of the different job sectors that we have today. And a lot of people don't recognize that when a new job is created, similar to what Ken is talking about, bringing in these new companies, for every single full-time employment is considered a direct job, but there's usually 2.5 indirect jobs that are created by that one direct job, because you've got to be able to support that paying position with waiters and service folks that end up benefiting from these new jobs being created in the state. So I think the Arizona's positioned very well. One more thing on energy is there's a big high-pressure natural gas line coming in from Texas, and it's already underway. And when it gets here, that'll allow us to do another large gas plant, and we're going to need that additional power to support data centers that are a big demand here in Arizona. And that's happening, but the key driving factor is we can't let these data centers drive up the cost of power for the residential ratepayers. And so by holding these data centers responsible for paying for their own power and making sure that in fact it doesn't affect the normal Arizona ratepayer, I think will prove to be very valuable. And that big gas line, I think, is going to help with that.
Oh, wow. That is really good news. Is there a probable time frame for that coming in?
It'll happen in the next couple of years. It's already underway.
Okay, excellent. Good.
We didn't even mention the fact that the largest chip manufacturer in the whole world is right here in our backyard.
It is. Yes.
Yeah, bringing in huge amounts of jobs.
Yes, and they're developing the AI chip right now. That is going to be. They'll probably be able to supply the world with it.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. Every time I go by there, I see all these cranes and construction people, and it's just moving. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
But to your point, because they're building that, they're building communities around that.
Yeah.
There's restaurants, hotels, resorts, communities, subdivisions. All that is coming up right now.
Yeah, and that's good for the state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. And actually, when you were saying about the the plants having to supply their own energy to not drive up the cost for everyday citizens, that was a big thing. I think that the Trump administration recently was talking about too, as a major point on a national basis, because they see the trend of that possibly happening, and they was like, we're going to need to take steps to stop that. And he was very supportive recently when he came out and talked about that and said, these chip manufacturers and AI centers have to be responsible for generating their own power. And then what politicians and cities and counties and states have to do is support that effort and not stand in the way of them developing their own power centers.
I can imagine how much power it takes to fuel that whole building. I I mean, I'm sure that they're regulated and they have to do that because otherwise they would suck all the energy from the neighboring communities.
That's true.
And I'm sure APS and SRP would be hard pressed to supply all that and still take care of all the building and those of us living in homes and so forth.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that President Trump is asking for these companies to come in and build a power supply center to help the manufacturing, which I think is a great idea. It's brilliant. But well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for the input on that. That's amazing. I guess the next thing I'd like to just talk a little bit about is I know that you're in the mortgage world, right?
We own a real estate brokerage here in North Scottsdale called NB Andrews and Associates. Been in the business for 22 years.
Okay. And where do you see rates going? Do you have a crystal ball there that you can share with us?
Well, it's nice to see that we've had a couple rate adjustments in the downward trajectory there for a little bit. Rates were so high and values were so high that it priced most people out of the marketplace. So having just a little reduction in interest rate, there'll be more listings coming on the market. That'll probably help with prices somewhat, remain steady or maybe hopefully come down just a little bit. And the reason why I say hopefully come down a little bit is we have to get into a situation where first-time home buyers can actually buy a house. And not being able to allow a first-time home buyer to buy a house really causes problems with just the nuclear unit of the family and expectations of how people can live and work. And so if rates can just come down a little bit more, I think it'll be palatable for a lot of families to be able to have the dream of home ownership. So that's what we're optimistic about.
Okay. Is there certain plans with the mortgage companies for maybe opening up a CD or a money market account for first-time home buyers and let that grow? Have you ever seen any activity there?
It's interesting this with the Trump accounts, right? I mean, what they're saying is, let's say these new and the Dell family put up $1,000 per children for I think 25 million children, which is amazing. But those are exactly the accounts that you're talking about. Let these young, in this case, infants, but young families put their money in CDs, let that money multiply by compounding interest to the point where they have enough money where they can actually put a down payment down, or maybe even leverage the value of the CD, maybe borrow against it so they can have enough money to put a down payment down on a house. I can see how that could be very valuable.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. Well, that's very true. And, with everyone moving in here, there's going to be a lot more younger families that want to set up shop here. More small businesses. It's going to help our economy tremendously. So I appreciate that. Yeah, that's good.
I think one other thing on that note about families and homes and stuff is that what the administration also came out and said about putting a stop to big corporations and venture capitalists or whatever you want coming in and buying properties up from under people and turning them all into massive rental properties. And, President Trump said we need homes to be for families and people to live in themselves and own them, not turn neighborhoods all into these, REITs or whatever else that come in and buy up properties.
I was going to mention that.
That's something.
Because that hurt our communities like you would not believe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure at the time we thought it was a good idea, but now we saw the after effects of that, and it's just it's crazy. And I'm glad that we were able to pick up on that and restrict these big companies buying mass amounts of houses.
Yeah.
Good. Where is your manufacturing plant set up for your barbecue?
I have a co-packer that helps me out with bottling this in Arizona. It's over by the Bank One ballpark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Coyote Kitchen is the name of them. I'll give them a little plug there. But
lift the bottle up.
What's that?
Put the bottle up. There you go. Bompa Jack.
This is Bompa Jacks. You can get it at bompajacks.com. Give me a call. We'll have it to your door within 3 days. Otherwise, you can come visit me at any farmer's market or events, especially in Prescott area.
Okay.
But yeah, In fact, this is your bottle.
Oh,
I got
great.
a bottle for each and one of you guys. Here you
Oh,
go.
thank you.
You're welcome. And visit the website. There's some great recipes, best practices for the smoker and barbecue and all that great stuff. But
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you. I got the spicy. What did you get?
I got the not so spicy.
I got Bring On the Heat.
there you go. That's my favorite. Bring on the heat with ghost pepper. Yeah.
Is there 3 flavors, or do you have more than?
3 flavors for right now, but we are expanding. But
Okay.
yeah, the one that you have is the best seller.
Spicy?
That's the middle of the road one. It's a mild habanero. The one that you have is the not so spicy. That's for people that just can't tolerate any kind of bite, but they want all the flavor. And then this one here is that I call it 3 minutes of zing, because you get the bite on the back end, but that heat will last for about 3 minutes and then it goes away. But it's a good, well balanced.
It's the one that makes your forehead sweat, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's great. Good product. I'm really looking forward to using that.
Yeah.
So, thank you for that. And let's see here. I can order a case at a time?
Of course you can.
Okay. Well, then there you go. All right. We're all coming over to my place for a barbecue.
All
There we go.
Yeah. Anything else of discussion? Nick, I know that you're a really busy guy. What do you, and I know that you do some teaching for entrepreneurial types. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, back in 2014, Governor Doug Ducey signed some legislation which was called the Arizona Intrastate Equity Crowdfunding Legislation. And what it does is it allows Arizona companies that are soliciting investment to get Arizona residents to invest up to $10,000 per person. And if that person is an accredited investor, there's no monetary limit on how much they can invest into a startup company. And this legislation was signed as a job creation initiative to spur investments within the state of Arizona. It's a state program. And when the initial legislation was drafted, it required an approved portal for the entrepreneurs to use this legislation. I built Arizona's first and only approved intrastate equity crowdfunding portal called fundmybusinessaz.com. And during that period of time, I coached hundreds of entrepreneurs with their capital readiness activities, and I absolutely loved it, getting to speak words of love and encouragement into young entrepreneurs and coaching them with their capital readiness activities was a lot of fun. The legislation actually ended up changing. We worked with Senator David Farnsworth and Representative Jeff Winokur, and the idea was to make the legislation easier to use for entrepreneurs. And once the new legislation was put into effect, it no longer required entrepreneurs to use the approved portal that I built. So I ended up kind of working myself out of a position. But a lot of people don't know this, and entrepreneurs should know this, that this program still exists today. And you can go on to the Arizona Corporation Commission website and look up Arizona Intrastate Equity Crowdfunding. And if you fill out the form and include yourself a disclosure document and a use of funds, you're an Arizona company and you're soliciting investment from Arizona residents, you can still use this program today. It's on the books and available. Not a lot of people know about it because there's nobody out there championing this particular piece of legislation. That was what I was doing at that moment of my life and career. But I would love for people to know that it exists, because entrepreneurs need to be able to raise money legally. And this is a program. It's a state program. It's a good program. It still exists today. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to raise money, I would encourage you to go to the Arizona Corporation Commission and look up the Arizona Intrastate Equity Crowdfunding legislation, fill out the forms, follow the procedures as they exist, and good luck with your fundraising. We're all about creating jobs and spurring investments in the state of Arizona.
Thank you for that. And speaking of fundraising, this is a campaign effort. If you out there would like to pitch in $5, $10, or whatever you can, please see it on our screen where we can send a donation. We would certainly appreciate that. And great idea. Great idea. I really like the sound of that. So how long has that been around?
Well, Governor Ducey signed that legislation originally in the summer, I believe, of 2014. It took us about 8 months to put that web portal together and get approved through the Arizona Corporation Commission. We ran that for a little over 2 years before the legislation changed, again, for the purpose of making it easier to use, but it does not require that the entrepreneur use a state-approved portal. So they have to kind of market it themselves, manage the process themselves, and they only have to answer to the Arizona Corporation Commission Securities Division. And the one bit of advice that I will give is the same advice that I heard from the director, which his name is Matthew Niebert. I think he's still the director today, and that is that investors get to make a fully informed investment decision. So entrepreneurs have to be very forthcoming and transparent and truthful in their offering documents. They can't make any promises or guarantees, and just make sure that the use of funds is in concert with how they choose to spend the money. But I encourage entrepreneurs that are interested in learning more to go check it out. And there's some videos of me online promoting the program, and they go into great detail on how to actually use that program. I'm pretty sure they're still on YouTube today.
Yeah.
Excellent. Were you wearing the hat in the YouTube?
I was.
Were you?
I've branded myself as that cowboy hat is my signature.
Okay, I like that. All right. Anything else with jobs or companies moving in here to Arizona? Any questions about that I could try to answer, or anything that you may have in mind? Okay.
Well, when we were working with we went through an incentive process in the state of Texas and the state of Arkansas to where we were going to seed our first advanced fuels facility, and we were able to achieve a incentive package in Texas that's valued at over $150 million. And these incentives are largely property tax abatement and job training reimbursement. And so my hope is that Arizona has a proactive approach to bringing new companies to the state that compete with the incentive packages from states like Texas and Arkansas, who gave us a really good offer to locate our advanced fuels facility in East Texas and the one in Arkansas there. So having the right team in place in Arizona to induce folks to want to move here and offering them a little bit of property tax abatement, job training reimbursement.
Exactly.
These come out of future revenues of the business that's being created, so there's no upfront cost for the state, and it's a great way to drive new businesses here into the state of Arizona.
Great. Well, that's well said. You touched on refineries. What do you have any plans? Do you have any thoughts about bringing somebody here to me in Arizona?
I wish I did. I don't really know anybody in that world in business, but I'm sure there's plenty of people out there. If you talk to Chevron and the big companies, of course, that have the resources to build a plant, but I do know or understand is that to build a refinery, it takes a lot of money, for one, but it takes time and going through the process, and you might address that a little more than I can, but it's a long-term project that would have long-term benefits for the Southwest if on those kind of things, and so there's still a place for that.
Sure, and I understand that Chevron had to pay like $1 billion to move out.
Yeah, to shut down it's going to cost them a lot of money to shut down their refinery,
but they're
take it out of production.
They're going to make $19 billion back. So they're well calculated move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ken. Just remember that Gary is Greek. He's always got a guy.
Very true.
I don't know if all of you heard of that out there, but the production manager here just said he's Greek and he's always got a guy. So, thank you.
I know a guy.
You know a guy. Yeah, thank you. All right. Anything else on that? Really good input. Thank you. I can't wait to have you set up your barbecue shop close to my house.
Oh, most definitely.
Okay. Yes.
Anytime.
Yeah.
In fact, you mentioned employment. I'm actually looking for some people to join my team and grow this business.
Okay. Are you looking for marketing or people that would actually work in and bottling your product? Who are you looking for? We can announce it right now.
Yeah, definitely. All of the above. I need people to work farmers markets, part-time, full-time. I also need people to help me with the marketing and brand recognition.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's good. That's an entrepreneurial site right there. You must know a lot of entrepreneurial guys that you could bring in and have him interviewed, right?
Guys and gals.
Guys and gals. There you go. Problem solved. Anything else I can help you guys out with? Right?
There's the Italian.
Yeah.
In Texas, Governor Abbott ended up working with the legislature there to set aside $350 million in funding to support new nuclear. And it's run in Texas by a gentleman named Jared Schaefer. And what they're doing is they're positioning Texas to create jobs to support nuclear, manage supply chain and feedstock availability, a lot of educational and different things necessary to kind of like get people comfortable with that nuclear is safe. But if the state of Arizona were to take a similar approach to induce more investment in nuclear has the ability to create a lot more power from a renewable resource, and it creates not only power but heat, and that heat and power can be used to create green hydrogen, and green hydrogen can be used to create a combination of different fuels and chemicals that are done very, very clean. And just to put it in perspective, when you're creating clean fuel, you're combining one carbon molecule with one hydrogen molecule to create a cleaner fuel. And so I could see that Arizona would be strategically positioned to lead in nuclear. And I know there's bipartisan support at the Arizona Corporation Commission and legislatively here in the state of Arizona to support more new nuclear. And I'm pro-nuclear. I have nuclear ambitions, and I'm really encouraged, Ken, that you'll champion new nuclear here in the state of Arizona.
I'm with you all the way. And what a great and dynamic game plan that you have. To me, it just sounds to me like there's thousands of jobs that could be introduced to that whole measurement. But that's another thing. Speaking of jobs, we're also having the UFC and MMA have an interest in moving out here to Arizona.
Wow.
Let's see here. I mentioned the automobiles. Manufacturing. So we have a lot of, we're going to need your plan in place. So as soon as I get in to be governor, I can sign it off for you. Is that okay?
That'll work.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, it seems to me if we can run our nuclear subs and aircraft carriers and all that with nuclear plants on each one of those ships and subs for years without any problems, we certainly can do it on level ground and land here to power our country. It just makes sense to me that can be done, and just do it right, and do it safely, and with the right technology and development and the engineering, it should be very possible, and nothing should stop it.
All the excess heat for cooking that barbecue sauce. There's many
put smokers out there.
There you go.
You're talking my language now.
Well, that's another thing. Accountability in government. We certainly need that, and they should be rooting behind your concept right now. And if we could save energy cost in some way, everything is going to go down in price. Everything's going to go down in price. And people will be able to get into homes. People will be able to get new cars. It's just, the opportunity is there. You just need somebody in there that would be a businessman, understanding that, hey, we could do this a little bit differently. And then people like you and you and you are, you're entrepreneurs. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I just liked what you come out with and the concepts that you have. So anyway, I would like to just say thank you to everyone that's out there watching today. We have another great show. Thank you to each and every one of you for participating. Really appreciate it. And with that being said, I'm going to send off tonight to say thank you, everyone. We appreciate you tuning in to us. Again, this is Shaping Arizona, and this is what we're going to do every week at Wednesdays, 8 p.m. We'll see you soon. Have a good night.